Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, taking a fun and interesting video for you guys today. That is because we're going to be talking about the Duke Nukem Zero Hour Recomp one more time. That is because a modder by the name of Kerma has created an entire package to turn this thing from a third-person shooter, which was pretty janky, into a first-person shooter, which is actually slightly less janky. And in the original video, I said Duke Nukem Zero Hour was a fun game, but it definitely wasn't anywhere near as good as something like Duke Nukem 3D. But now, as of today, there's going to be an entire mod package where you can turn this thing into a first-person shooter, which doesn't quite live up to the Duke Nukem 3D reputation, but gets actually pretty surprisingly close. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. Now, obviously, if you played the Duke Nukem Zero Hour Recomp or you played the original game, you will remember that this is actually a third-person shooter, not really a first-person shooter. And the modder here has not only gone in and made that work with mouse and keyboard support, but also has introduced new models as well, so you will see Duke's hands as well as the weapons that are being shot. And honestly, this thing is highly effective, and I can't stress enough just how much better I think this actually makes the game. Because Duke Nukem 3D was always an incredible game, and when Duke Nukem is in first person, it just hits better than all of the third person console ports and different versions they got back in the day. And again, this basically makes the game feel brand new and fresh, and really is some big decomp energy. Because when we talk about different static recomps and PC ports, because this one is a recomp, we don't just talk about the fact that the game runs smoother than it did on N64, we also talk about the fact that it basically opens up almost infinite modability. When you see there that hole being shot straight through the enemy, that's basically part of the mod as well. It's going to happen a lot more. Because this is actually a combination of about 7 different mods that have all been put together to not only make this a first-person shooter, but to just make it a more fun game in general. And I would say a first-person mod isn't the easiest thing in the world, because in your head you might think to yourself, all you need to do is change the camera and go ahead and play the game. I have played a lot of third to first-person shooters before when they do the modifications, and I will say one of the hardest things is getting the aim and mouse speed movement right. Even if Duke Nukem just did take a cannon to the face, kind of forgot that was around the corner, because I've always played this thing in third person. But as far as the mouse movement, at least on my system, and just so you know, I do use a trackball, not an actual mouse for editing, this thing absolutely feels so natural. It just ends up working super well. My biggest compliment is if a modification or ROM hack feels like it could be a retail game, and that's what the developers would have done back in the day. That is high praise, and that's exactly what Duke Nukem Zero Hour feels like in this first-person mod. And that is not an easy amount of work, having to go through and test everything. Now, if I could make one recommendation though, make sure you make this thing full screen. Do not try to play it in a window, or else that mouse speed can be a little bit affected. And the nice thing is, if you kind of want to combo this together, use a controller in your left hand and use the mouse in the right. That will work as well, but for this I played exclusively on mouse and keyboard, with WASD having all of the movement, and of course the mouse being the fire and reload button. And that again is hyper impressive, because seeing these models way up close, the game even looks prettier. Now, of course, because it is a recomp, it has a resolution bump and it's going to be prettier by default, but a lot of the models here are really well designed from the 3D artists, and actually getting closer into them in first-person mode just kind of makes you appreciate just how much work went into Zero Hour back in the day. And I love that crotch shot right there. Lizard Dude is having a very bad day, and it just looks all the more exciting when you're actually in first-person mode. And the reality of the situation is we don't really have that many Duke Nukem first-person shooters. Of course, we have Forever, which was not a very good game, and then we have the beta dump of Forever, which is actually could have been a really good game and is getting patched up all the time. And then now we have Duke Nukem Zero Hour. But for the most part, if you want to play Duke Nukem in first person, you're going straight to Duke Nukem 3D, but now you have another brand new game. And that is a testament to just how much recomps and PC ports are keeping retro gaming alive. When people talk about retro gaming making a comeback, a lot of these things are the reasons why. Because when you have dedicated developers that recomp these games, then dedicated modders that go in and turn them into a completely different genre, you have a recipe for success. We're going to move into our first soundtrack sample, 45 seconds, and I'll be right back with more.
just a flesh wound. Again, and I'll kill you.
I will say the audio is definitely better here in the Recomp than it is on the N64, and of course if you missed the Recomp, the performance here is going to be much more stable, close to 60 frames per second. It's one of those things. Duke Nukem Zero Hour on the N64, always a fun game, but like basically every N64 game out there, trying to get it to run at a decent frame rate would definitely be hit or miss. And of course it is a Duke Nukem game, and I am surprised they were able to get away with this much on N64, when Nintendo basically did not want this sort of content on their console. I'm glad they did though, and I'm glad Nintendo finally shed that family-friendly image some generations ago. But as we move through the world, it is just way more detailed and way more vibrant in first person than it ever was in third person, at least in my opinion. But you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, having now seen Zero Hour in first person, is this the way you're going to play moving forward, or are you still a third person fan? And the nice thing is I left a link in the description below. There are two builds for this. One is going to be the entire decomp with the mods already installed, which is what I would recommend you grab if you haven't already played this one, and one will just be the mods. And like every Recomp, there's going to be a mod menu by default. When you install it, they will all be turned on, but you can go in, configure them, turn them on or off to kind of create the Duke Nukem Zero Hour experience you want to have. And that really is the fun thing about all of these different Recomps and PC ports. When you play the game on console, yes, it is fun, but you're going to be playing it exactly as the developers intended. Or when you have these Recomps, basically anyone could do anything they wanted. I mean, technically somebody could go in and turn these levels into a kart racer if they felt like it. I think that would be basically impossible, but I would love to see somebody try. But that really is the power of a Recomp or a PC port, and the developers leveraging all of those different tools. I really wonder where some of these models came from, because these two people in the window there, definitely not the most attractive looking 3D models I've ever seen, but I'm pretty sure it is intentional. And the fun thing is, if you've never played Zero Hour before, it is a really fun game with a lot of fun different levels. Well, I'm just basically showing you two here to kind of give you the idea, because this actual first level looks so much better in first person. It's the one I went with. And again, this is going to make the game feel brand new if you played it before, and if you haven't, it kind of feels like somebody just found a lost Duke Nukem first-person shooter that was finished and never actually released. And it kind of makes me wonder why the developers back in the day went third person, not first person. Maybe it's because Duke Nukem 3D did get a 64 port, or maybe just because they felt more comfortable making a third person game. But honestly, when I think of Duke Nukem, I always think of the first person shooter. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me, what's one game on the N64 in either a Recomp or a PC port could you actually change up the quote-unquote genre and make it work? It is a really fun thought experiment to think about a game and think to yourself, how could you change it, whether it's the camera or otherwise, that would make the game feel even more fun by just changing one of the core mechanics of it. In this instance, I think a lot of the third-person games could actually excel as being first-person shooters, even though Duke Nukem makes the most sense. Think of all those third-person games on N64, and imagine mods as good as this, and I think you'd actually have a winning formula, and it would basically make it feel like the N64 console library is expanding. But one more soundtrack sample, 45 seconds or so, get an idea of what the Recomp audio sounds like, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more Duke.
Piece of cake. I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? I ain't got...
So yeah, the developer of this, Sonic DCER, made an incredible Recomp which is still in active development. This isn't the final version, and Kerma made an amazing mod pack to make this work in first person as well. And that really is the thing. This feels like magic because it works so well. And again, my only recommendation is make sure the screen is full screen, because in windowed mode the acceleration can be a little bit too fast, and if you actually skip past the window, because the actual mouse focus can drop here or there, you'll end up minimizing the application and basically making it move to the background. So if that happens to you, just go full screen and you should be fine. But this is definitely one you should check out if you're even a casual fan of N64 Recomps or Duke Nukem games, because I think in every way, shape, or form, making this game a first-person game, not a third-person game, just makes it that much more fun. And it really isn't that easy to say that about that many games on any console for that generation, changing up the entire quote-unquote genre, somehow making the game better. But we're done. Go shoot it out in Duke Nukem Zero Hour in first person now, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.